Good evening and welcome to Campbell Now TV, the #1 video news source on campus. I'm Joshua Davis.
And I'm Cassidy McCardle. 50 people have already been charged for the recent college admissions scandal, Operation Varsity Blues. Let's take a more in-depth look at how it affects us here at Campbell. Well, I'm sure you've all heard of Operation Varsity Blues by now, the college admissions scandal where parents paid up to $75,000 to have their kids' SAT scores changed. Let's find out why it's so imperative that students are honest about their SAT scores, and later, let's find out what Campbell does to prevent scandals like that from happening on our campus. Let's take a look.
It's a breach of trust and understanding of what you can expect. And the academic contract that you have with another student or with other students is compromised as well, because one person is taking advantage of the situation. Sometimes failure is the best teacher, and early missteps in an academic career where you find out how hard or how easy something is or where you belong helps you grow. And if everything's done for you, when reality sets in, it's even more of a cold and shocking time.
The admissions office, we accept transcripts and test scores for our students who apply, and our safeguards are they have to be official documentation before a student can enroll here at Campbell. And so that means by being officials, they come from the College Board or they come from the high school for the transcripts, and the transcripts are signed and stamped by the high school itself.
It looks like Campbell University is taking the right precautions to make sure that their students are getting accepted into the school of their own merit. We will have a guest when we come back, so stay tuned.
And we're back. We have a special guest with us today, Dr. Ken Moorfield, an English professor here at Campbell University, who was given the opportunity to interview actress Taraji P. Henson, her director and producer, for the new movie Best of Enemies for Christianity Today. Let's look at the trailer for this film.
We're here trying to understand each other and stop fighting.
This here does the talking for me.
I have a Bible.
Same God made you, made me. And that water.
Last night, an electrical fire destroyed East End Elementary School.
Mama, where are we gonna go to school now?
Mama gonna find you somewhere real nice to go.
Not gonna have black kids going to temp school.
Oh, come on. They're gonna put them somewhere.
Mississippi putting it down. I'm the hottest round.
We gonna beat school segregation once and for all.
Listen to me now.
You better get your ass down to City Hall tonight. Who's next?
They say you represent a great many people in this town.
Ain't me right about that.
I'm holding a committee meeting. The council will vote to either adopt or reject school integration. I need 2 co-chairs, you and Ann Atwater.
Ann Atwater. I'm the president of the Klan.
He's about to hand you the keys to school integration, and you're gonna lock the door.
You hear?
Would you look at that crazy white man?
Folks in this town want blacks to stay in their own schools. I'm here to protect my family, so all the better is you don't get in my way.
Well, I'm gonna get in your way.
We're here trying to understand each other for once and stop fighting.
This here does the talking for me.
I have a Bible.
Well, then you ought to know.
No, what?
Same God made you, made me.
Sometimes there are necessary evils for the greater good.
You didn't have to do that.
You should have told me.
As long as the CP Ellises of the world keep getting their way, ain't nothing gonna change.
She looked at me like I was some kind of monster.
What'd you expect?
I'm talking about home. I'm the president of the Klan. I'm supposed to hate black folks. Now, if I don't believe that, then I got a problem.
Now, what we talking about is important, and you gon' damn well listen to us.
She's in a bad mood today.
Talking about home.
All right. So tell me, Dr. Moorfield, what are your thoughts on the both the movie and the events surrounding it?
Thanks, Joshua. Overall, my response to the movie, which I was able to screen, has strongly positive with one or two caveats. I thought that both Taraji and her guest star, Sam Rockwell, were magnificent. Representation of race is an important consideration, and it's always good to see these stories preserved. So those were all very positive. My one concern, or my two concerns, were that because when there's violence in the film, it mostly shows white-on-white violence, the Klan terrorizing the or intimidating the white voters, that might give a distorted picture of what the Klan was already about. And because the film rightly tries to focus on the remarkable nature of C.P. Ellis's transformation, I worried a little bit that it might send the message to black viewers that it's up to them to change the hearts and minds of white racists rather than sending the message to white viewers to confront the racism that's part of the nation's past.
Okay, thank you. And for those who may not know the story of this movie, it's about the Durham charrette that happened in 1971 to help desegregate schools in Durham, North Carolina.
Yes.
So a big part of the movie and of this event is the nature of the relationship between C.P. Ellis and Ann Atwater, and the miraculous relationship that they created through that. And so, do you think that it's possible that a relationship of that same nature, where two people from opposing sides can come together, do you think that's a thing that can happen today?
I think it is. I mean, of course, it is possible because it happened, and that's why movies like this are important. They feed through the despair or cut through the despair and show that it is possible. You know, as in the case in most movies, it can oversimplify that process. I think the process of people forging friendships or transforming is a lifelong process and not usually the result of a single gesture. That's, you know, that's why I think the movie is both important, but I think it simplifies C.P. Ellis's transformation. The director and the producer both emphasized that when C.P. Ellis died, they asked Ann Atwater to speak the eulogy at his funeral. So this man who started as a Klansman, you know, came to love and respect this African American civil rights activist. Those sorts of changes can happen and do happen, but they're usually a little bit more gradual and not just the result of a single kind gesture.
Okay. And branching off from that,
Sure.
What kind of impact do you think that this movie, when it premieres, what kind of impact do you think it'll have overall?
Well, so I mean, I think it will be part of a continued emphasis on Hollywood's part to rediscover and preserve important parts of American history, particularly African American history, that oftentimes aren't part of our larger cultural memory. I think actresses like Taraji and her co-star, not in this movie, but in other movies, whose name I'm forgetting, in Hidden Figures, are using some of their power as executive producers and not just actresses to pick roles and promote roles that preserve these stories that are important to African American history, but don't oftentimes get their own movies or get told as often in the classroom.
Thank you. And for the information of the viewers, how did Christianity Today actually get the opportunity to sit down and meet with Taraji P. Henson and the director and producer of Best of Enemies?
Well, so Christianity Today is an evangelical publication. There's actually many of the studios in Hollywood hire publicity companies to deal with or recruit evangelical publications because they oftentimes don't have full-time movie people. So when the studio has a film that they want to market specifically to Christians, they'll reach out to, there's a handful of publicity companies. The one I worked with was called Grace Hill Media, and saying, we have this film that we think would be of interest to Christian audiences or Christian viewers. Can you put us in touch with whoever does the reviews or the editors at a variety of Christian publications? And so the studio is really trying hard to market this particular film to faith viewers, both because of Ann Atwater's faith and because the thematic importance of social justice is something that ought to be important to all Christian viewers.
All right. And when this movie comes out, it'll be seen by a variety of audiences, both young and old. And as a result, how do you think it'll react with both those young audiences and those old audiences?
So the film's coming out on April 5th. The producer, Dominique Telson, had said about Ann Atwater speaking at C.P. Ellis's funeral that part of why that was so resonant is because it showed that the story of their friendship was cross-generational or intergenerational. The impact that these two people had continues to have ripples felt by their children and their children's children and by all of us. So I think in that sense, perhaps when we're a little bit more cynical or having experienced some of these accounts firsthand, some of these events firsthand, movies like this are important to show us that racism, violent racism, school segregation wasn't that long ago. I was born in 1966. The events in the film take place in 1971. If I had been living in North Carolina at that time, I would have gone to a segregated school. That powerfully hit home, for me, that it's not just something that's part of the past, but continues to affect people who are middle-aged like myself and people who are younger like you who go to school, because school segregation, and school is one of those places where generations, meet and transfer, as Campbell says in its mission statement, the vast body of knowledge from one generation to the next. Part of that vast body of knowledge that's important in our mission statement is not just the knowledge of things that we're proud of in our culture and our history, but things that we've had to confront and try to overcome.
All right, thank you very much. We can see the Best of Enemies in theaters April 5th. Dr. Moorfield, thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Joshua.
All right.
Get ready because on March 29th, Cab will be hosting a Wild and Out comedy show with a special guest from the show, Darren Brand. Come and get some laughs after a long day of school in Lynch Auditorium from 7 to 9 p.m. Our senior point guard, Chris Clemens, finishes his college basketball career as the third all-time scorer with 3,225 points. Clemens closed out the 2018-2019 season with an average of 30.1 points per game. We wish him the best of luck with his future.
Cab hosted one of the biggest events of the year, the Spring Fling Bonfire, and our reporter, Gray Barnhill, has the story.
Hey Campbells, I'm out here at the Spring Fling Bonfire where this year the committee gave out blankets instead of t-shirts. This is a big change for the committee because they've only given out t-shirts in the past. I spoke to a few students to see what their feelings were on this event.
Spring Fling Week is a great time to come out and get to know other students and get involved on campus. We do events every week, and Thursday is the big bonfire. It's annual. We also do one in the fall for homecoming, and this year we decided get some t-shirts, which was mine and Taylor Gallion, the homecoming and Spring Fling Chairs idea. We just thought we would switch it up this year, see what students like. We're getting a little tired of t-shirts since we do them so often, so we thought since it was going to be cold, that blankets would be like a cool thing to do this year. And I think students really liked it. Probably had about 250 students come out tonight, so that was great. And everybody, as you can see, is still hanging out by the bonfire, and it's getting really late, so that's great. And we have a live musician here tonight, so it's been really fun.
Spring Fling this year was so great, and tonight we had the bonfire hosted by Taylor Gallion and the Spring Fling Committee, which I have the honor of being on. And this year they gave away some awesome blankets to kind of, minimize our t-shirts because we get those so much. So it was such a great night out here. We had s'mores and a fire and some great live music, and it was just a great event to be a part of.
S'mores, live music, and blankets. What more could you ask out of Spring Fling, which is just like homecoming, except in the spring? I'm Gray Barnhill reporting for Campbell Now News.
Thanks, Gray. It looks like everyone had a lot of fun.
Spring Fling ended with a fun day in Academic Circle. Students from all over campus were able to come out and enjoy free hot dogs, donuts, and a lot of activities. In true safari fashion, the event included rock climbing, a giant alligator slide, and even a mechanical alligator that students did their best to keep control of. This event was fit its name and was truly a lot of fun. What a perfect way to end Spring Fling.
A conjunction between spiritual life and the campus kitchen, the Roots Festival took place at the Mustard Seed Community Garden on Kivett Road last Saturday evening. This event was to raise awareness and money for the garden. This event brought together people from all over the community and included many different vendors. Fresh food from the garden, a short documentary about Harnett County, and even some live music from professors and students of the Christian Studies Department. The Roots Festival was a great success. Good job to all of those involved in the planning. We'll have more news when we come back, so stay tuned.
And we're back. Do you need a break from schoolwork with lots of fun involved? This Saturday, March 23rd, come with the Campbell family to Frankie's Fun Park in Raleigh. If you like bumper cars, putt-putt, arcade games, and more, then this trip is just right for you. Departure is at 10 a.m. from the Fine Arts parking lot, and the cost is only $5.
You watch Campbell Now every week, but did you know that the show is completely produced by students that you can help in the making of the show? Reporter James Williams takes us behind the scenes to show what it's like to be part of the crew.
Hello, I'm James Williams, reporting for Campbell Now. I'm here in front of the Campbell University television studio, where I hope to give you a behind-the-scenes look at the shows students produce every week. It's in this studio, located behind the Fine Arts Building, that students have access to industry-standard gear that help them learn what it's like to create television. Whether it be behind a camera just like this, behind our news desk, or behind our TriCaster, or as we go over here in front of a green screen, students come here each and every week, either for class or to volunteer to help produce high-quality content for our shows Campbell Now and Wake Up CU. Our crew members work together to write stories and produce our shows. They take on various roles in the studio to bring viewers the latest news about Campbell and beyond. We spoke to first-time crew member Wale Ashaye about his experience being a part of the program.
I've never been on a set like this or anything like this in general. Most people have watched news before, so to see the behind-the-scenes work and the actual work it takes to create a show it's quite new. Many students enjoy working on the show so much they volunteer to take on new roles and more responsibility. Seasoned member and director Adrian Daly had some words for anyone thinking of working on the show.
If you want to work in a newsroom, this is definitely where you need to be, because whether you want to be on-air talent or running cameras, you get a lot of real-world experience.
If you have any interest in getting involved with the Campbell Now or Wake Up CU crew, you can talk to your advisor or Professor Brian Bowman about how you can get involved. We hope to see you in the studios.
Thank you, James. Campbell Now is a great way for students who are interested in broadcasting to get involved on campus.
The government of New Zealand is taking serious action in response to the fatal shooting at a mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand. The country now prohibits any weapon of military style, such as auto-loading firearms and assault rifles. The country is not taking gun control lightly. With this, New Zealand's government hopes that they will ensure the safety of the inhabitants.
The Henry Avocado Corporation voluntarily recalled whole avocados sold in bulk to retail stores because they have the potential to be contaminated with listeria. The avocados were distributed in Arizona, California, Florida, New Hampshire, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. Specific stores were not named. You can identify the recalled products at those bearing Bravocado stickers or those that read California and Organic. You can also identify Henry Avocado organic products by their barcode. People who have purchased any recalled avocados are urged not to consume them, but to discard them or return them to the place of purchase for a full refund. If you have any further questions, you can contact Henry Avocado at 760-745-6632.
At Cedar Falls Park in Chapel Hill, a crew used shredded rubber from old car tires to provide a springy surface under the playground equipment to keep the children safe. These rubberized surfaces are very, very expensive, but in many ways they're the best, said Bill Webster, a development manager with Chapel Hill's Parks and Recreation Department. The town has $85,000 reserved to rubberize 2 of their 9 playgrounds. Well, that's all we have for Campbell Now TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Cassidy McCardle.
And I'm Joshua Davis. And this has been Campbell Now News, news for camels by camels. Tune in for Wake Up CU on Wednesday morning, plus we'll have more news on Wednesday evening.